Yo, welcome back to another video, you guys. I have a 10.1 Season 2 range DPS tier list for you for both Mythic Plus and Raid. For Raid, it's more of like focused on normal and heroic rating, and then for Mythic Plus, it's up to plus 20 keys, because that's more of where my experience lies, but I think a lot of these will carry over to higher Mythic Plus keys or even Mythic rating. So, dude, some of these specs are looking like bangers. Super fun to play. I know which ones I've got my eyes on. Let me know what specs you guys are going to be running this season. So let's explain this tier list real quick. As we got S gods here, the best of the best specs. Not a lot of weaknesses. Bring a lot to the table. Fantastic. A, awesome. Really good spec overall. We'll see probably a lot of them this season, probably higher keys, you know. Definitely heroic rating, probably mythic rating as well, but just maybe slightly weaker than the gods here. B is good. Has a little bit more weaknesses. Pretty solid all around. Great choice to play. C is meh. Definitely some significant weaknesses compared to some of these other specs, whether that's single target damage, the utility they bring, AoE damage, whatever that is. They're farther down. D is help me. There needs to be some kind of tuning or changing for them to be higher up on this list, because they're just struggling. There's so much of a difference between them and S tier that something has to change. Let's jump right into it. To start us off, let's go with Elemental Shaman, man. I think Elemental is actually going to be high B tier, maybe low A. Obviously, they received some nerfs to their tier set recently. I think that plays a big part. I think they were looking freaking nasty. If you guys saw my prediction tier list, I was placing them really high. I was probably smoking some copium or something. I mean, dude, I wanted them S tier, God tier for sure. This still might happen, but I think they're high B, low A tier with all of the changes they received recently. Obviously, they're still bringing Bloodlust, which is really nice. They have Reincarn, you know, Purge, Windrush Totem, which is really good. But that's kind of all that they bring. I mean, that is a lot, but it's not as much as, you know, having a raid buff or something like that, something significant. They do decent single target damage and pretty good AoE, actually. I think they're better in Mythic Plus than they are in Raid after their tier set changes. So I think B is a fair spot to put them in. Balance, dude. Oh, man. So Balance, I think, does good AoE. I think they're in a similar spot. They're really struggling in single target damage. If you look at any raid logs right now or anything like that, they're not looking great. Their AoE is good. Single target is rough, and I think that's why I'm going to put them in B. I think that if they receive some tuning or some kind of changes, they'll be looking a lot better. Just single target. They'll probably still be brought to a lot of, you know, you'll still bring a lot of them because they bring a lot of value with what they have. The toolkit with Battle Res, Mark of the Wild, you definitely want that. Stampeding Roar, Innervate. Never hurts to have more than one of those, you know, Stampeding Roar, Innervate, or, you know, all of that, because it's super helpful, especially in Raid and you're looking for progression. But yeah, I think they need something to change with their single target damage for them to be higher up on this list. Devastation Evoker, bro. Dude, they are freaking so good. Specifically for Raid, they're fantastic, okay? So they have their Raid buff, which is really nice. You know, Blessing the Bronze reduces cooldown on movement abilities, which is great. They still have Lust. They also have Cauterizing Flame if they want to talent into it. They can cleanse everything. That includes Bleeds, which is going to be great for Mythic Plus. I do think Preservation Evokers are looking really good too, so might not see that there. But in some of those keys in Mythic Plus, it might be nice to take, especially to have if you're pushing higher keys. But dude, they're doing great single target damage. It's absolutely insane. The damage profile is wild. Doing really good AoE too. I think they're one of the best range specs. I actually think there's a couple specs that beat them out right now, but they're really good. Definitely S tier in my opinion. Let's go Hunter here, dude. I think Hunters. Beast Mastery, I would say, is C. Completely different than the end of Season 1. I think they're lacking like a lot in raid, like single target damage. They need something to change. They do pretty good AoE, but single target is so bad. They're like the lowest simming character right now in normal and heroic. I think even really low on Mythic too, like right down there with Survival Hunter for that, which is, and Windwalker Monk, which is saying something if you played those specs. They're in a tough position. They need something to change their single target damage. But, you know, they still bring Lust. They have a lot of utility, you know, AoE Root. They have a long stun with Freezing Trap for Mythic Plus. They're still really good, and they're easy to play, which can be great. A lot of these specs, too, you can definitely play up to plus 20s, if not all of them. You know, and definitely at normal and heroic rating. But you are going to see a significant difference between this one and Marksmanship, which will be next. Marksmanship Hunters, man, they've got to be... Dude, they are simming so freaking high. I feel like I have... Dude, am I smoking... do I have cold... Am I putting... Dude, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do high A tier right now. Maybe right next to Devastation Evoker, in my opinion. They are absolutely insane, guys. For Season 2, their single target damage is cracked out of its mind, especially because they have a lot of true shot uptime if you can do that. They still bring the same table. You know, they have Lust, which is great. They have an AoE root. They have a single target stun. They have slows. They're great for Mythic Plus. They have a lot to their toolkit. Lust is a little bit harder to deal with because, you know, it's like a 10% damage nerf basically, but they're still a good spot. Good AoE damage, good single target damage. I think they're a fantastic spec to play. So if you're looking to play Hunter, it's looking like you're playing Marksmanship. If you're looking for any kind of progression, or you want to play the, you know, flavor of the month, the best of the best. Next, let's go with Mage. Mage, Frost is, dude, Frost is, I'm gonna put right down here with Beast Mastery. They're lacking for sure. I think in AoE they're doing decent, but they've had some changes here recently. I think that they're just not going to be to the same level as Fire for sure. Definitely not Arcane and single target. Single target is lacking like a lot. Again, they still have lots of toolkit. They do bring an Arcane and elect to that 5% int buff, which is great. They have Lust, they have Spell Steal, they have a lot of things for toolkit to survive. Not as much as Fire, but still really decent. Like I said, you can play these specs still up to plus 20s normal heroic rating, but there's a big difference between these other two specs. I'm gonna put Fire, dude. I'm gonna put Fire in. Oh man, I'm gonna Fire in A tier. It's really good. I think Fire is one of the specs where if you're pushing really high keys, I think you'll see them shine. Like a lot of people don't get to see that because they're not pushing that high of keys. I haven't pushed that high of keys with them yet. You know, maybe I think the highest keys I've ever completed the Fire Mage is maybe like 17s, 18s, 19s. So I haven't got to the fun spot where I've watched a lot of gameplay where they really shine in some high plus 25, plus 26, plus 27s when targets aren't dying and you are pumping the whole freaking time. They are so good. They're good for single target. They're great for AoE. It's easier to play than it was in Shadowlands. Really like their toolkit. I think they're looking fantastic. Very solid spec. We'll see a lot of them. And, you know, with them having a cheat death, that's really nice to have, especially for raid too and progression. Arcane, I'm gonna put... Arcane, I think, is actually the best raid spec in single target damage. I just think they lack in AoE, which is why I'll put them in high B. They're really good single target damage, like phenomenal single target damage, but Mythic Plus for AoE, I don't think they're the same level as Marksmanship, Fire, Devastation Evoker, Shadow Priest. They're still a solid spec. Like for raid, definitely gonna want to bring probably one of them, maybe more than one. Especially if you're someone that knows what they're doing. I think they have a high skill ceiling for them, but they're really fun to play. I would say high B tier. Shadow Priest, guys. Shadow Priest is really freaking good. I'm putting them in S tier, man. I think they're right along with Devastation Evoker. I think they're really good for AoE, like absolutely crazy. I do think that they fall off in single target damage. Are they God tier then? Dude, they're so good in Mythic Plus. They're okay. I'm gonna put them actually in. I'm gonna put the high A tier. They're really good in Mythic Plus, guys. They're pumping some AoE damage numbers, like I mean, like insane. They're rising up in single target damage. They're really good. You know, you have the stamina buff, which you like, but you're probably bringing a discipline priest to raid. Maybe even a holy priest, definitely a discipline priest. They're looking really good. You have PI, you have Mass Dispel, which is going to be good for a lot of Mythic Plus dungeons. You bring a lot to your toolkit, and they've had so many iterations and changes to their talents and reworks, you know, that I think they're looking really good. Solid top A tier spec, if not S tier. Demonology, bro. This is where, okay, Demonology is... okay, so I'm going to put both Demonology and Destruction actually in S tier. I think they're going to be the best specs for this season for ranged, along with Devastation Evoker. All three of these specs are so freaking good. It's insane. In the beginning of the season, I was expecting them to receive some kind of nerfs, especially Demonology, and Destruction. They didn't. It's absolutely crazy. Right at the start of the season, they're looking very, very good. Obviously, they don't bring any kind of raid buff, but they have Hell Souls, which is fantastic. They have Gateway, which is really good. They have Battle Res. They're insanely OP with damage for single target and AoE. I think Destruction actually does more damage single target if you don't have to move. If you can stay in one spot, you can stay focused, which there are a couple encounters where you can do that. That you're going to be pumping, and you do more damage, I think, than Demonology. But there's some trinkets, I think, with Demonology. I haven't played them a ton or anything like that, but they're looking insane, especially if there's mobility required. I think they're looking really good single target damage, really good AoE damage. They're just both fantastic specs to play for Season 2. Really good spot. unless tuning happens. Affliction, people are dissing Affliction like crazy, but I do not think they are a C tier spec. I think that they're really good in single target, especially if you're lower progression or anything like that, you know, normal and heroic. I think they're doing pretty good damage. They have a lot more mobility than destruction per se. They do decent damage. Especially if there's any AoE fights, they're doing great in Mythic Plus, which is nice. All three of the Warlock specs too are very tanky too, so I think Affliction's in a good spot. I just don't think it's to the same level as Destruction and Demonology. They're just looking so insane, but I would probably put them down here with Ele, Balance. It's hard to see Arcane down here because it's really good in Raid. Just struggles a little bit more in Mythic Plus. But yeah, guys, I think the top range specs right now are Devastation Evoker, which I hope that stays, and with the possible Legendary coming soon. Destruction looking really good. Demonology looking really good. And these specs right here looking fantastic. There's a lot of really good choices. I think that hopefully we'll see some changes to Frost, Frost Mage, and Beast Mastery Hunter. At least I hope so. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what specs you guys are going to be playing for Season 2. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.